it's just gonna be so good because, yeah, they look cool. They look freaking cool. G'day peeps, Justin here, and I would download a dart. Welcome back, Make Test Battle. Just educational enough, apparently. So, today we're going to be taking a look at what's been announced at New York Toy Fair 2020. It's so good to say! We're finally in the future! There's been some cool announcements, and honestly, this is just a really easy video to make and get some views and get some ad revenue going. Just like every other Nerf YouTuber. So, let's take a look. Then the sunset. So, I decided to set up some lights, and by the time I finished mucking around and I was happy with it, I became Nerd City. If you're gonna be weird, may as well lean into it. The shades block the haters out. I'm wearing sunglasses indoors because the future is bright. First things first, the Motor Strike. Holy balls, finally, we have a Mega Strife. Like, yes. Honestly, that's probably the #1 blaster I want. I've always wanted to just, like legitimately take Mega into a Nerf war, and I think this kind of makes Mega practical now. It depends if they are going to release the mags separately or not. It appears that Gavin Fuzzy was the first person to find pictures from Hasbro updating their website, and he posted them on Nerf Singapore and basically went through all the Facebook groups. And wow, like, looking at the back of it, you can see that they've put the battery well in the stock. And also, like, am I the only one that the stock looks like a Longshock stock? The top rail looks like the Rapid Strike, and then like the front section is kind of like that oblong octagon, kind of like the Alpha Trooper. And yeah, and then we've got this magazine. It looks like something that Mr. Nathan would cobble together. It's like, yes. So we did get a close-up photo of the magazine itself provided by Sophie of Nerfers 101 on Instagram. And looking at it, it does seem that the magazine is the same proportions as the Centurion mag, which is kind of weird because didn't the Centurion come out 2015, 2014? So it's been 5-6 years, and we all thought that was going to be this one-off, and they never released. Did they ever release the Mega Mags separately? And everyone's like, Ultra's awful. It's like, dude, do you remember the Centurion launch? Holy balls. Way back then when Coop did his video for that, there's just this, he unboxes it, and everyone was assuming that it was going to be the next long shot. It's gonna have this massive plunger tube. And then as he's using it and starts firing it, you can see the enthusiasm drain out of him. Oh.
I know I'm just getting picky here, but I don't like this blaster. I almost don't like this as much as the Deploy, which
This looks like it's actually going to be good. And because we also then got a firing demo from Jarek Wines, and it looks like, yeah, we should be able to mod this. I'm really hoping, but it took, man, are they going to release the mags separately as a frustration-free packaging, or packaging-free, on Amazon? Kind of like what they eventually did with the Chaos. Was it 6 months or a year before they released that on Amazon? So that'll suck if that's the case. So, anywho, exciting times.
Very exciting time. Exciting time.
Next up, the new Fortnite grenade launcher. We've always kind of wanted something like this, and I never thought they would actually make it. Yeah, damn it, you crazy son of a bitch, you finally did it! It appears that within each of the cylinder barrels, there's probably going to be, it's a loose fit on the outside, and on the inside is a spigot. So it's going to kind of work the same, or like, you know, similar to a Demolisher and all the other rocket launchers, because it would actually be really hard to get an air seal around the outside. And it appears that on the forward stroke, that's what actually rotates the cylinder. So that wouldn't be so bad. Genuinely keen for is to see what the high pressure, HPA modders do with it. You put like a XBZ or a SpexBZ air tank in there, or even a custom air tank, see what we can fit, and put that behind it, kind of like the original XBZ. It's a lot of firsts this year. We're getting like some really cool stuff. The other thing too is the Fortnite sniper. That's since it's so big, you'd be able to fit quite a bit of stuff inside of that. Just having maybe because it's got that goofy caricature look to it, it might be fine for Public Wars. Like, it'll totally depend on the paint job, because I'm wondering if, like, you were to paint that dark, always be mindful of. The next one that's actually also super goofy is the Ghoul Grinder from The Line That Never Dies. I'm wondering how they actually get the air into it, so maybe on that side panel they're rerouting the air, because it is a prime blaster, so I think it was a missed opportunity maybe to turn this into a 3-shooter, like a shotgun. Did you guys see a couple months ago, what's his name? The guy from X-Robots, he made that giant flywheel rollers and he had a giant flipper revolver to shoot multiple darts like a flywheel shotgun. The judge, remember, was so gigantic and unwieldy. You know what the judge was? It was a lesson in teaching us that those giant guns from Ratchet & Clank actually are cumbersome and kind of useless. However, this, even though it's like a large disc, it is all in line and flat, so that may be usable. You know, if they made that a bit wider, they could have done like a 3-shooter. It's interesting that Nerf Rival has gone from using Greek gods and all that to fighting moves and whatnot, so now we've got the Finisher, which is everyone's favorite blaster from 2018, yeah, the Kronos, and just making it MagFeg with a reloadable mag. It's got a little port on the side, and they've also changed around the back prime, so now instead of like the whole back top slide doing the thing, it's now just a tiny section. Get one of these to Ezekiel from EZE Nerf as soon as possible. Get his auto primer. As much as we got all these flywheelers for Rival, having like a Stampede auto priming, or you know, semi-auto Springer, I think there might be something satisfying with that. And if they ever do release that 30 ball drum, that Helios Edge variant, and it had that 30 ball drum. About that drum, right? I think it's already been done before, way back in 2006. What was it? Q-Loader, that's it. And essentially it was a 100 ball helical drum mechanism that would push the paintballs up into a tube and put it into your blaster. And this is like, sorry, your marker. This is like way before First Strike and all those mag loading like loaders and that kind of thing that have come out for paintball. You know, it could also feed as fast as any of the electronic feeder hoppers with the flippers. Yeah, I hope that they do bring out that 30 drum, and wouldn't that be cool to have that like angled in and So I went to the shops to go buy dinner, and by the time I got home, had dinner, it was a bit late, didn't want to wake up my roommates, but we shall continue this morning. I am very glad and happy to be wrong about the Dartzone Pro Mark 1.1. It is confirmed we will be getting a full-fledged, basically the Mark 1, just in red. And it's going to be 150 USD, and it's going to be sold in Target. It's like, yes! This is like a big deal for expanding the scene, for expanding Dartsoft, because essentially the biggest barrier to entry is modding. Now, I know that you're not gonna like that. It's like, what? No, that's part of who we are and that kind of thing. But I've seen it so many times before that people have come along to events and then they don't come along again because either they don't have the time or they don't have the time to learn how to mod. And also learning, like, I know this is kind of disparaging, but learning is is very difficult. And then also developing skills that you're good enough to be proficient, that it's actually good at it. A lot of the times, people just want to buy a blaster that's ready out of the box. And because most working adults don't have the time, but they do have the money. This just raises a lot of questions for me, is why is Hasbro... Okay, if this is allowed, that it can be sold in the toy aisle or toy section, and I guess they say it's 14 plus or whatever, I guess like Rival, why is Hasbro so resistant to doing something so similar? Because they really want to have their own competitive game. But the problem is that the Tag-A-Line, was pretty low power, and it just lacks that kind of, I don't know, energy. Here's the thing, right? I've had fun at purely stock events, Z-Town. You know, everything's underneath 90 FPS, whatever. And I've had a lot of fun, you know, 400 people running around and that kind of thing is just amazing, and like having zombies everywhere. And then I've also had fun playing basically Dartsoft at Wasteland Wars up at Wall and Paintball, and we basically hired the field at night, 200 FPS cap, no minimum engagement distance. This was 2 AM, it was raining, everyone has flashlights, and it's this really intense kind of experience. And you know, I've had fun doing both of those opposite ends of the spectrum of like intensity and that kind of thing. That's where I'm coming from, and it's curious that Hasbro is just totally resistant to that. Like, if they've been allowed to make 150 plus blasters all along and just make them 14 plus or that, they could have released, or even the naming scheme of, say, like the rival Edge line, that could have been the Nerf Edge line, or I don't know, just, oh well, they here's something interesting for you, right? Gelsoft, or water gel blasters, right, became legal in Australia about nearly 2 years ago now, 18 months ago. Within that time, Gelsoft has completely eclipsed Nerf in Australia, even though it's been around for 10 years. I think there's two attributes to that. Cool milsim factor, because essentially a bunch of them are just the same shells used from airsoft guns, and they've just changed the guts for Gelsoft. You have to be really comfortable with your own masculinity and whatnot to actively play with what's socially deemed as children's toys, and that's, I guess, why the community, the Nerf community, or Dark, I want to call these guys Dartsoft because it makes more sense, because we aren't actually the toy associated with the toy company. Is that there is that barrier to entry there as well, and then also modding is another barrier. So if we have widely available blasters that people can just buy for 150 and then they can just then go play, that's a big deal. That's going to change, that's going to make a lot of groups bigger very quickly. So brace for impact, guys. Also, we have, like, it's a growing market space too, because now we've got Rekt producing CO2 powered variants, and also, what is it? That's it. It was Velocity Outdoor. Brought a Cedar variant over to Aldos, and you got to test that out on livestream. I'll link that in the description. Essentially, it's a Cedar, but that's another producer who are entering the market, so it's gonna be interesting. So this next year, I think things are gonna change. Just to clarify what Dartsoft is, it's basically anything. I want to try and define it. Over Nerf stock performance, which is usually 100 FPS. So if it's been modified, if out of the box it's HVZ or War Ready, then it's basically Dartsoft. And people might be like, it's nothing like Airsoft or that. What you gotta realize is that Airsoft is actually very different and variant as well. It's a blanket statement for something that's very broad, because you've got Speedsoft, then you've got scenario games, and the same goes for paintball as well. Just a note also, within those groups, they also hate each other for some arbitrary reason. Oh, like, you like a different game type to me. It's kind of niche, and the biggest area for growth is that kind of Dartsoft competitive kind of line. Oh, the one last thing that's a bit weird though is it doesn't seem to be that we can buy the half-length darts separate. If anyone watches this who has contacts with Dart Zone, I might like tell Bobo, or maybe Phone From Above, or Click Banff, or someone like that. Guys, please stop forcing us to buy a mix pack. Wasteland Wars up in Bendigo, guys are popping off dart tips. The Worker Gen 3s, the glue quality of these newer batches is gone downhill, and they're just decapping. It would be really, really cool if we could have, buy those bamboo darts in half lengths. You know, buy 10,000 of them and that kind of thing. The ability to do that would be really big deal. I watched Dartzone's talk to Click Click Banth and Foam From Above. They were saying that they're really keen to engage with the community and that the Mark 1 taught them a lot and gave them a lot of feedback for making the blaster better and that kind of thing. So look, if it doesn't have to be cheaper than China, it just has to have that value proposition, that it's a higher quality and that it's reliable. If these are like super sturdy, reliable darts, I think people would be willing to pay. Well, we're blowing tips now, we're wasting money. The D-Dart blasters, more of these gauntlet blasters. So they've gone from that tested the market likes it, and now the giant barrel revolver drum is removable. That's like if they sell those separately, and it's just gonna be so good because yeah, they look cool. They look freaking cool. 72, however many rival version. That's also a brilliant idea. A Nerf engineer would be looking at this and they'd be kicking themselves that they didn't do it first, because these are so goofy and caricature that it can't be mistaken for a firearm, but it's actually practical. Like, it's really cool. Pro version, which apparently will go faster, they're releasing like a clip, no, not clip, it's like because it's a revolver. The whole cylinder, what do you call it? The ring, the donut?
This donut, but we must look a little closer.
Because clips are used to load cylinders or mags, and they don't interact with the action, no matter how much Drac wants to distort reality or denounce historical experts.
This is actually what's called a harmonica style clip. Yeah, I know the difference. Occasionally people will quote some very incorrect Forgotten Weapons video, or like I've had Australians who don't know how firearms work be like, hey mate, you don't know what, yeah, I know what I'm talking about.
Anyway, so there's one that just removes that cylinder, and then there's a two-shot one. That's kind of cool. It's kind of like, well, we already mentioned it. Yeah, X-Robots dude. That's kind of cool. That's another way to do it. It has a longer flywheel to accommodate for two darts to be able to go through at once. I'm now curious if that total weight increase would mean that you would shoot a single dart further. I wonder if we have just enough space to maybe fit a third, then it's like a triple shot. Be a lot of printing though. And the final thing I do want to talk about, the Halo Assault Rifle. They've released the little micro shots, but that thing looks legit. It looks really cool. I believe Hasbro did buy out Mattel. Boomco had the Halo IP license, and now with the new Xbox about to be released and the new Halo Infinite, and it's been shown profitable to tie in the blasters with like Overwatch and with Fortnite, it makes total sense that one of the largest gaming brands that's not just straight up guns like with COD or that kind of thing, where you can have that sci-fi element, yeah, it makes total sense. And so it appears to just be a really long Raven. I'm okay with that. I think I've already seen the memes going around, this baby can fit so many flywheel cages. I suppose another thing that we could target is that we could introduce more of a LARP element into kind of competitive games, like, or at least set up scenarios where you have like a Mandalorian game, you have like a Halo game, all that kind of thing. Actual gameplay, there would be less, I guess you could say, roleplay and actually real-world sports rules and fit like based off the trajectory of the darts and that kind of thing. And I suppose if you could, yes, I think that's gonna get more people into Nerf, definitely. Halo's like pushing 20 years old. That's how many people, that we've got nearly 2 generations worth of players who are going to want to buy this blaster just for nostalgia's sake. Sorry about the audio, if you can hear that, that's just the aircon. I think that wraps it up. I think I've covered everything. Yeah, thank you very much for watching. Patreon.com/MateTexasBattle if you would like to see the continuation of the kind of videos that I do. I am working on a new gameplay video with more of that stabilized head cam. And I also have an unboxing of Soldier 76 plasma rifle. Daniel bought one. So anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later.